Illinois and Nebraska. If you thought this was going to be a top 25 matchup about a month ago, you're lying to yourself. You're absolutely lying to yourself. No one expected Illinois and Nebraska to both be ranked at this point in the season. No one expected this to be one of the biggest games of Week 4. And yet here we are, two teams that over the last few years have traditionally struggled, are now sitting ranked number 24 Illinois, number 22 Nebraska, both 3-0, entering a massive Big Ten Conference game on Friday night. And we are here to break down everything you need to know for this game and, of course, share our official prediction. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We're so glad you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of our exclusive expert picks. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country, beating out over 80% of the national handicappers, not just this year, but we have done so each of the last 6 years as well. So if you want a full year-long subscription, some of these handicappers want you to buy a package for a day, for a week. We're offering you a full year-long package, 365 days for one-time fee, one price. That's it. We want you to sign up. We want you to take advantage of it. It's one of the best deals in the country, some of the best picks in the country. We promise you will not regret it. Go sign up. Our picks are already out on our website, already out in our betting newsletter. We want you to take advantage of those before the games get started and become a member of our GE Nation. So let's take a look at this game. I am very, very excited for Illinois and Nebraska. I mean, again, I love this as our top 25 matchup. It's unique. It's different. It's fun to see these two teams thriving, at least at this point in the year. Historically, it's been an interesting series, at least over the last few seasons. Nebraska did win by 13 in Champaign last year, but the last few years have not fared well in Lincoln. They lost to Illinois by 17 at home back in 2022. They lost by 18 at home back in 2020. Last year's win over Illinois actually snapped a 3-game losing streak to the Fighting Illini. But I expect a much more competitive game this year. I expect maybe not a double-digit margin for either team. And if it is, it'll just be barely over that double-digit mark. You take a look at the offense. We'll start with Illinois. It's an offense that traditionally under Brett Bielema has been a little bit lackluster. They haven't always been very explosive. They haven't always been very balanced. They haven't always been very potent in the passing game. But I feel like this year could be very different across the board for this offense. They're averaging over 32 points per game. They're averaging 225 passing yards per game, 153 rushing yards per game. So they're a pretty balanced attack. Luke Altmaier has been played very well, fully healthy, 647 yards and 6 touchdowns already on the year. So I love what he's doing in the passing game. Love how well he's been able to move the ball and push it down the field for the Fighting Illini. You got Pat Bryant, his top wide receiver, 235 yards and 4 touchdowns. So 4 of the 6 touchdowns from Altmaier have gone to Pat Bryant. Caden Fagan has been great at running back, 173 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. And, of course, the offensive line has been pretty solid for Illinois so far this year. This is not the most explosive offense in the Big Ten or the country, but what Illinois does well is they move the ball effectively, they move it efficiently, and they have proven that they can get the ball in the end zone. They don't stagnate, they don't struggle mightily. Again, they're not super fast, they're not super explosive, but they get the job done, and that's really all you can ask for. When you look at Nebraska, they have proven the same thing. They've kind of been in the same boat as Illinois, where they've struggled at finding consistency at quarterback. They have struggled at finding an identity on offense over nearly the last decade or so. This year, that feels like it's all changed. They finally have a quarterback and a star at quarterback in Dylan Raiola. 670 yards and 5 touchdowns already this season. Nebraska has scored at least 28 points in all 3 of their games. The best game, of course, being their 18-point victory over Colorado. That's the toughest test, at least, they faced, and that's not saying all that much. 2 players for Nebraska have rushed for at least 100 yards, and Dante Dowdle and Emmett Johnson. So they've got a 1-2 punch at the running back position. They have a very deep pass-catching core. Raiola's doing a great job of spreading the ball out to his pass catchers. That, of course, is led by Isaiah Nayer. And the offensive line, I'm really impressed. Matt Rule, we knew he was going to take a big step forward from year 1 to year 2, but Matt Rule has always done a great job everywhere he's been at bulking up his teams in the trenches, not just on the offensive line, but the defensive line. We'll talk about the defense in a second, but Nebraska, their offensive line, has allowed just 1 sack so far this year, and they're averaging 171 rushing yards per game. So they're doing a great job of not just giving their quarterback protection, but opening up running lanes for their running backs. That's going to be a key factor in this game against a pretty strong Illinois defense. And we're going to break down both these teams' defenses next, but first, a quick word from our sponsor. We've got a new sponsor for the show this season, Chris Gates Fitness, and his online fitness Training Camp. Training Camp is a monthly fitness program designed specifically for football fans, and it's like nothing I've ever seen before. With hundreds of different workouts and exclusive content such as the calorie calculator and, my personal favorite, the low-calorie, high-protein tailgating cookbook, Training Camp is a must for any football fan looking to get or stay in shape. With Chris as your coach, you'll get top-notch guidance. He's been coaching people online since 2018, and, like all of you watching, he's a die-hard football fan. His clients consistently get results by implementing a flexible approach to diet and exercise. So if you're interested in getting brand new workout programs every month, fitness challenges every month to push you to develop healthy habits, challenges within the Training Camp community like weekly football pick'ems, access to live Q&As where you can get direct, personalized support from Chris with your health and fitness, and the support of a community of people there to encourage you every step of the way, you need to visit chrisgatesfitness.com/Gridiron Expert, the link down in the description below. Learn more, sign up today, and use our promo code GRIDIRON to get your first month for just $10. As you would expect from a Brett Bielema-led team, this Illinois defense is actually pretty solid. It has been the last few years. Last year took a bit of a step back after the loss of Ryan Walters, but this year looking like they're going to get back on track. They have been phenomenal. They've only allowed 2 touchdowns in 3 games this year, both of those coming in their win over Kansas, 23-17. But still, in that game, it was the defense that stole the show, right? They held Kansas to 141 passing yards. They forced 3 interceptions, one of which was a pick 6 right before halftime, the difference maker in a 6-point victory. The secondary has been unreal, and they haven't even allowed more than 167 passing yards all year long. And I get all they've played is like Eastern Illinois, Kansas, and Central Michigan. I get that. But they have not allowed over 167 passing yards in a single game this year. That speaks levels of how strong this secondary is. They're not allowing a lot of yards. They're forcing a lot of turnovers. 6 interceptions already on the year. Credit to Brett Bielema and this defense. My concern for Illinois, though, is their inability to stop the run. The last 2 weeks have not been great up front. They've allowed 186 rushing yards to Kansas, averaging 5.6 yards per carry in that game. They allowed 142 rushing yards to Central Michigan, allowing 4.3 yards per carry on that game. So the last 2 weeks, they've allowed their opponents, even though they won those games, to rack up quite a bit of yards on the ground. And we just talked about how strong Nebraska's offensive line is and how great they are at running back with that 1-2 punch in Dowdle and Johnson. So if I'm Illinois, I've got to find a way to bottle up the run, force Dylan Raiola to win the game through the air. And if I'm Illinois, I want him to do that because our secondary has proven how good they are and how good they can be. So not allowing Nebraska to run the ball effectively is going to be the key for Illinois' defense in this game. Nebraska, on the other hand, they were pretty solid last year defensively. It was the offense that kind of held them back. They're looking to be solid once again this year. The defensive line was arguably the strength of the team entering the season. They already have 9 sacks this year. 70.3 rushing yards per game is all they've allowed through 3 games. Yes, they allowed 139 last week against Northern Iowa, but 70.3 rushing yards per game is all they're giving up. That's a really impressive mark. Held UTEP to 56, held Colorado to 16. They're doing a great job up front, not just stopping the run, but creating pressure as well. They're only giving up 185 passing yards per game, too. And again, granted, they haven't played the best opponents in the world, but kind of like Illinois, showing what this defense is made of and showing what they are capable of in big-time games like this. And I'm looking at Nebraska. Their key here, as long as the front 7, especially the defensive line, plays like they have for the first 3 games, I think they're going to be just fine. If they can bottle up the Illinois run game, if they can create pressure on Luke Altmaier, they're going to be just fine. They're playing in front of a crazy home crowd that consistently sells out. This is a massive, massive game for both teams. Nebraska back in the rankings. There's finally hope in Lincoln once again. So Nebraska, their key, play like you have been. Pressure the quarterback, stop the run, force Illinois to win the game solely through the air. They don't want to do that. Illinois needs balance. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think they're going to have it. I'm picking Nebraska to win this game by at least a touchdown on Friday night. I think their defense lights up. I think Matt Rule has his team ready to go. Home field advantage plays a massive role, and this defense does force Illinois to become a one-dimensional offense, something that they cannot have. If they don't have the balance, they're going to struggle mightily, and that's exactly what Nebraska is going to do. The Cornhuskers will move to 4-0. They're 2 wins away from a bowl game. Obviously, the expectations are higher than that now, but just getting back to the postseason is the goal. We've seen this story before. I think it's actually a different story this year. I think this is actually the year Nebraska finally breaks through. They remain in the top 25. They get a top 25 victory in front of their home crowd. They improve to 4-0. Illinois puts up one heck of a fight, but the Cornhuskers pull away late. And this is going to be a very interesting year, not just for both these programs, but for the Big Ten as a whole. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Of course, check out everything down in the description below. The spread picks for games like this over on thegridironexpert.com, home of our expert picks. Some of the best spread picks in the entire country, beating out over 80% of the national handicappers. So go sign up for those today so you don't miss out on our picks for the rest of the season. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.